All right, we should probably move on to something approximating this episode, which is our year-end episode of the
Yes.
SaveState podcast.
Yeah.
So, normally on this podcast, we talk about a video game that we played, but today we're talking about many video games that we played because this is our year-end synopsis episode.
Retrospective.
Synopsisode?
Yes.
Retrospective.
Oh, man.
That sounds better.
Yes.
And I'm Arvid.
I thought it was the Roblox episode.
Say your names.
I'm Mike.
My Roblox handle?
You don't have a
Oh,
Roblox.
I just
handle.
go with Marcus on Roblox.
Well, that's actually that's a big one. That's hard to get.
Yeah, we got Marcus from Roblox. You know him. You love him. He's
Of Roblox fame. Yes.
yes. So we did, as I said, we didn't play a specific game for this podcast, so we're just gonna kind of have a bunch of segments that we'll kind of jump through. Yeah, so we've been doing this for technically speaking, Mike. We've been doing this for over a year because some of the early episodes we recorded before the new year. But generally speaking, our first episode, officially speaking, our first episode came out at the end of January.
Yep.
So from that standpoint, it isn't a full year, but we figured we'd do the calendar year rather than just do something at the end of January
I think that's fair.
where it'd be kind of weird.
I
Yeah.
think that's fair.
So, not to get too far up our own butts and talk about how great we are, although we did just spend quite a long time talking about colonoscopies.
Yes. Yes.
Wait, what was I going to say? I got distracted by colonoscopies.
Something about being up our own asses.
Yes.
Yes.
So, we're gonna try not to talk about too much about like our own selves, but rather just like the games that we did before, as opposed to like the episodes that we did before.
Are you going to do some hyper professional cut-ins to references that we make from previous episodes and have it be this
Almost
entire...
certainly not.
Yeah, no, I was not expecting that. Good.
No, it's not just that even I'm too lazy, but that is part of it. But also, I don't like it when other podcasts do that.
I
So I'm
don't
just
either.
Like, yeah, I heard
this.
Let's
I
just
heard this
move on.
already. Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for
exactly.
reminding me that I heard this. So, where do you want to start with this then?
I think we should start with the headline title, so to speak, and just do our 3 favorite games we played for the podcast.
Ah.
So we'll start with that. We have 3 people in this podcast. So we did 3 things. I decided to make a bit of an honorable mention list for my third, just in case we all end up with the same kind of
one game
games.
everyone's going to have.
There's probably going to be someone that's going to be on all of our lists. So I have some honorable mentions I figure we can kind of go over if we want to. But Marcus, since you're the newest addition to the team, why don't you start?
We're going to go in like some kind of order. Like we don't have to full...
No, I don't think. I think the top. I didn't order my top 3 games. I just said these are the 3 I like
All
the
right,
most.
so I got 2.
So just
but
pick one and we can kind of talk
so
about
far I
that.
was trying to figure out a third, but I haven't got that.
Okay,
fair.
I got
that's
that
fair.
I got like the... So obviously, Paradise Killer. I think everyone's going to have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's absolutely
Yeah,
on mine,
that's-
I didn't-
for sure.
Yeah, I didn't play that one with you guys, but it was the one you recommended to me before I even knew about the whole spiel.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I started playing it, I was like, I know this game is something Marcus is gonna like. It almost like I compared it a lot to Disco Elysium, but like the reason I did is just like it feels like it scratched a similar itch, like it kind of got to a point like Disco Elysium. I felt like it told a story that I wanted to hear, and I've been waiting for something to tell me that story for a long time, and I didn't know it necessarily, and I feel like Paradise Killer kind of was in that same vein where like this is basically something I've been wanting to play and hear forever, and I just didn't even know it until I played it.
Yeah, it's kind of the perfect game, like in that genre of detective narratives, storytelling games. It's really the art style like hits perfect, and the music like just goes with it so well. Like everything in that was so meticulously created to like fit perfectly together, right? I love it.
The thing about vibes is that you have to have everything all working on the same vibe. Like vibes are great, but if you don't, like, it's so easy to have okay vibes and so hard to just kind of nail great vibes, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
You have to like have every element working together, and Paradise Killer does that.
Yeah. I will say I probably just pointless exploring. It's like the best thing in that game. Like,
Oh yeah.
fuck the plot. What am I doing? I don't know. Listening to music, running around.
And I think that's part of the thing, because it is a detective story, right? Like, you're trying to find answers to a question, but you don't necessarily like have an understanding of where things go. And frequently in the game, like you end up finding things by exploring
Well, I
randomly.
think you
like
have
that.
to.
Like,
Yeah, that's like I don't know. The only way to like solve it is to kind of get lucky and go in the right spots.
yeah, there are some spots that you just kind of have to wander into, basically. And I think that like part of the brain's process of like looking for answers versus like exploration wandering, where you're not specifically looking for answers, you're just kind of looking. I think that kind of is something that's a little different from a lot of mystery games, where you go in a room and you're always looking for things that will work towards
Current goal, yeah.
your yeah, exactly. Like, is this a clue? Is this a thing that I can use to find a clue? Whereas with Paradise Killer, by virtue of you just wanting to kind of explore the world to see what it's like, that exploration becomes, I mean, maybe it just makes it feel like a more natural process, where you're just like, I want to see what's going on here, and that leads you to finding clues, as opposed to like making every bit of exploration feel like a scavenger hunt.
Mm-hmm. Surprisingly good platforming for a game that's not a platformer, too.
Oh, 100%.
Like
It's a
that
platformer.
aspect of the exploration was...
No fall damage. No fall damage.
Yeah, right. Like,
Well, I guess no damage
That's
at
true.
all, but
that is true. Yeah, they really reinforced that in like the first few moments of the game when you leave your tower. God, such a good opening sequence.
Oh yeah, I mean, goosebumps even just thinking about it.
I actually reinstalled it. I'm going to play it.
what are you trying to get like so messed up on New Year's that you forget?
Yeah, pretty much. That's the plan.
That's
You
a great
got it.
plan.
There you go.
Yeah. It's such a good game.
Yeah, they're allegedly the company's working on another game. No one says if it's a sequel or anything yet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm excited for whatever they've got next.
yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, I saw a stream of them like playing it for like the anniversary or whatever of its release. They're just kind of talking. I'm like, oh, these guys are normal people. Like, these aren't just like, I was expecting these kind of like Andy Warhol-esque, like artsy something. I don't know what I was expecting. Someone who has like
half the studio when you see the development team photo is just like all furries.
yeah, maybe even that. But I was just thinking something like weirder, like someone who is more apart from society, so as to approach these truths that we all can't see, so to speak. And no, they're just normal dudes.
Yeah, I would say that people who show off the aesthetic of what you would consider normcore, sometimes we are the least normal.
What did you just say?
Dweebs like me sometimes are the most.
No,
fucked
there's
up.
other
That's what I'm
words you
saying.
used.
The term normcore.
Yeah, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah. I don't even really know. I just hear it bandied about.
I think he may be borrowing from the younger generation's
I might
lexicon.
be. I might be. I don't have the riz of the kids these days, though, so can't really pull it off.
Norman Bates Core. Normcore Wares is a coffee company.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, it's a unisex fashion trend.
Yep, that's me.
Unpretentious, average-looking
Yeah.
clothing. I don't
Yeah.
know. That jacket's a little pretentious.
It's just
Is
a pullover.
Just a pullover.
Fleece pullover in a earth tone.
Yeah,
I mean,
with a mustard yellow shirt underneath. A Carhartt. It's just a like.
well, Carhartt is probably is normcore at this point. I don't even know.
Yeah.
All right. Next, Mike, why don't you give us a game?
So I was going to do my middle list game now, since Paradise Killer is already been crossed off the list here. But I have a feeling you're going to have the same one as I do here. So I'm going to try to find one that you don't have. Yakuza 0.
Okay. You see, I actually omitted all the Yakuzas from my list because It would have just been a lot of Yakuza talk.
This is the reason I'm picking it, though, is that it's not that it's my favorite entry in Yakuza, even necessarily. It is that it introduced me to the entire series, of which my entire year has really been about Yakuza, with as much as we've played. It's a game series that I've really enjoyed, and if there was one game to encapsulate the year, it would be that series. So I'm throwing Yakuza 0 on there just to give it props for starting the whole thing off. And it was one of our earlier games that we covered. Same with Paradise Killer.
Yeah, I was surprised looking back that Paradise Killer was our 5th episode. Like, oh my god. No, I think that's a good one because Yakuza 0 also, aside from being like my recommended entry point, it's also like the most Yakuza of a Yakuza game. Aside from it being a prequel, it also it hits all the notes. It is all of the elements you expect out of a Yakuza game are in there in 0.
Yep, right blend of violence, silliness. All the mini games are like not at their peak performance, but they're really solid for that edition. They did a great job with it. So yes, if you want to hear more about us gushing about the Yakuza series, just check out, really randomly scroll through our episodes, and you'll probably land on a Yakuza 70% episode. Yeah, for sure.
Well, not quite. I think we have. I forgot. We have almost 50 episodes, and 7 of them are Yakuza episodes. So
you've done every mainline.
This will be the episode after this will be the most recent of the main line.
Yeah, but by then there'll be a new one out. So
probably not by then.
No,
but it'll be like 2 weeks after that one comes out. So we'll have another one. And there's the Judgment series that we got to play too.
So Arvid, you're not doing any Yakuza in your top 3 list?
No, I chose not to do any because, like I said, I might just. I mean, the Yakuza series is its own thing. It's got its ups, it's got its downs. It's obviously something I like a lot because I talk about it enough. But I just didn't want to put it on here because it felt like, and maybe we talk about Yakuza enough to the point that we actually have planned a retrospective episode just for Yakuza to talk about the plot. So we'll get back to that. It's not that we don't want to talk about Yakuza more. No, but my game that no one's mentioned here for my fave 3 is Anachronox.
Nice. Hell yeah.
I really liked that game. That was a game that it kind of stuck with me afterwards. It really kind of made me rethink games from before, how its place in video game history, and that weird, it's like finding the missing link. It is the Archaeopteryx of RPGs, and I don't know. I had a lot of fun with it. It's very quirky. It's got its own sense of humor. It's got its own style.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
It's not like the other video games.
You could almost say that playing it now is like an anachronism.
Whoa.
Yeah. Well.
Maybe that's the plan all along.
Or somehow playing it before it came out, it'd be
even when it came out,
too, if that was possible. Or even when
actually, that would be the most. Oh God. Yeah, no, that's a really good. I almost threw it on my list. And I was just like, well, Marcus is going to have it on his.
That's why I didn't.
For sure.
They're going to expect me to have it on there, so I'm not gonna. But then obviously I put Paradise Killer on there, which I think we all expected everyone to have.
Yeah. But I couldn't not have it on there.
Mm-hmm.
Hashtag not a sponsor.
Yet.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I have, really. I mean, I have a bunch of honorable mentions for third place.
Sure.
I have 10.
But let's just honorably mention the one that really deserves to be mentioned of games we covered on this pod. It's got to be Vampire Survivors, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's on my honorable mentions list, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it almost feels like it exists beyond the pod, right?
I mean,
we talk about it so much.
It does. Anyone can play that game. You don't have to be a member of this podcast to play it.
No, I have more. I feel like we've spoken more about Vampire Survivors on episodes that aren't about Vampire Survivors.
It is often my "What have you been playing this week?"
Yeah. No, I mean, but that's very fair. It's not that I dislike it, but obviously I like it a lot.
Yeah, It's one of those top games where it's something I can always go back to, and it's
Are
consistently
you guys
fun.
playing mobile or on the computer?
I do
Oh
both.
wow, you paid for it? Yeah, I also know Arvid paid money for Cookie Clicker.
Yeah,
Okay,
well, that's
Cookie Clicker was like
silly.
$3, and Vampire Survivors is also extremely cheap.
I'll be like half awake at like 2 a.m. and I'll see that Arvid is playing Cookie Clicker on Steam.
Oh, I haven't played it in like a few weeks, but it was early on when I had to like wrangle a toddler.
You're just talking about how Steam can now hide. So maybe you're hiding your Cookie Clickers.
I'm not ashamed of it, man. Just way. I mean, it is what it is. It has its role in life.
Mm-hmm. I ascended in Cookie Clicker, so I have to start all over.
Oh God,
Mm-hmm.
you guys, that's insane. I just played in the background, like literally, like I am helping a toddler cut up his banana, and then I've been doing it on the side, but I am nowhere near as advanced as you guys are with it.
You just gotta
No,
spend
I'm
your
not.
cookies.
I'm like
man.
I'm in like a 300 million a second like category. Like I'm nowhere near that.
Oh yeah,
That's sad.
Bullshit.
I haven't actually played that much. I've only played like 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Only.
What?
I mean,
hours.
technically, the game's always playing.
Yeah.
No, is it?
Maybe not
Yeah,
on
I don't
Steam.
know.
It's an idle. It should just always maybe not on Steam, but that literally would break the entire.
I don't think it
point
is
of the
on
game.
Steam.
Oh well, that makes more sense. Like even if I close the app on my
I'm
phone,
still collecting
it's still
cookies.
making
Yeah.
cookies.
Yeah, I don't think the Steam version makes cookies when you're not logged in.
Like when you come back in, it doesn't say like, "Here's how many cookies have been made since you were gone."
I don't think so.
It'd be so funny if the Steam version just like when you opened it just took you to the website.
I mean, it could be very well be.
great.
Got
Just
'em.
like a special like browser link or whatever.
I don't know. I did see recently that there was an announcement that there is expansion content coming to the mobile and Steam version of the game, which is wild that they're still like adding
Well,
things.
they're probably making money now because like Arvid, they're like, we made our first sale. Someone finally bought it.
That's it. Holy shit! Someone did a podcast episode about us. We finally made it.
All right. I'm just gonna real quick say my honorable mentions, and if you guys want to chime in, chime in. Arcade Paradise, I thought was really fun.
Great vibe.
It was a lot more than I was expecting. Yeah, also good vibes. Just a chill hang. Chance of
That's
Sonar
on
was
my
also
list.
really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just like a really clever game that does learning good.
Yep. Art style is also gorgeous.
Yeah, and it good. It good.
Mm-hmm.
Eternal Darkness also was really good. And another one that I kind of was like, oh yeah, this is like one of those missing link games.
Mm-hmm.
Book of Hours I really liked, and Book of Hours is probably one of the few games I'm probably going to go back to and play a lot in this coming year, just because there's so much of it I still haven't messed with. Strange Horticulture was another vibes game, which technically I played the year before.
I keep seeing that like on Steam, like really wants me to play it, but like I don't know. I'm not.
It's very
Yeah,
fun.
I don't want to like watch any
It's very chill.
review videos of it and ruin it for myself. You know,
No, it's just a really chill.
like the Steam page makes it look like not fun, in my opinion.
Huh.
Well, I mean, the art style is like a little flashy. I get like flashy, like
I know what you
Macromedia
mean,
flashy,
yes.
not like yeah.
Like a flash
So I can
game,
kind of
yes.
yeah, but it's really good. Like I was playing it like before bed as I'll do a day of strange horticulture, like a day in the game, and that'll like kind of put me in the mood to like go to sleep.
Yeah, it has a really good play cycle for like how to spend your days and trying to get around on the map and go investigate things, but get your orders fulfilled and you're learning about the different plants. I recommend it. It's fun.
Is it like you have to like fucking like work like in like once you get to a certain level in Minecraft where you're like, well now I'm just like tending to my
No,
needs.
there's no
kind of
grind.
stuff.
There's only like a few technically speaking there is like a time limit, like there's a narrative time limit to the number of like things that can happen. So like there isn't like a grind every day. There's like new stuff. Like it's not really like a simulator. It's just kind of uses the setting as like a way of like puzzling. Basically, it's a puzzle game more than it's a
So
simulator.
maybe when it goes on sale, I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, and we're back. So, real quick, I'll just go over the last 5 honorable mentions I have on here before we move on.
Rapid fire.
Oh, wow, you're going to get a participation reward to every game I read?
No, these are just like one. Also, these are all lesser-known games
You got to stand out
that I
for the
kind of
little
want
guy,
to
you know?
throw out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think all but one of these would be arguably indie games. The other ones I want to throw up there are Scorn. Maybe not my favorite game, but like the art direction, like we talked about vibes and like how you can achieve. You have to have every bit of everything working together, and Scorn does a really good job of that. Like it's just an artistic like masterpiece.
That
like, it's
should
like being inside.
That should be a Game Award category. Is perfect vibes. Like it can be any kind of vibes, but when they're all lock in together perfectly, that is kind of award worthy.
I think so too. Like it felt like a heavy metal sequence, but like longer and gorier.
I only know the
and same
reference
kind of
from
substance.
that South Park episode. I have actually never seen heavy metal.
Marcus, you've seen heavy metal, right? He nodded.
Yes. Now it's visual cues are great on audio medium.
Well, you need Arvid to narrate.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. And then last ones I've got are Citizen Sleeper, which I thought was fun, but kind of missing a few things. Pentiment, I loved. Although for some reason, like even though going into Pentiment, I kind of was like, oh, they made a game for me, and then I don't know, there was some like weird emptiness I felt after playing it. Like it just didn't quite do it. And then Signalis, which I think was our second episode ever, was also like a really good game. That was also good vibes. So that's all my honorable mentions.
You know, it's
all tied for third.
Yeah, it's really interesting. When I was trying to go through our list of what was not a great game that was played, it was actually hard to find a game off the podcast. Like, we didn't purposely try to only pick games we'd enjoy, but a lot of them ended up being, you know, if not the perfect game or a great game, they were a fun game.
Yeah.
Barring a few examples.
When all games are fun.
Yeah.
I felt like we... Well, that's true.
I don't know. I don't know about that. Maybe not all games are fun. Maybe there's one specific game that isn't fun.
Orphan was fun in its own way.
That's true.
Don't talk about Orphan.
No, it's not. No, Orphan didn't make it on my least favorite because it is a game that I'd like to just completely forget existed. I'm going to retcon that from my childhood.
I feel like it was important. It was an important game in some way.
Yeah, true. It was important.
It
was informative to young
stumbled
Mike.
so that something else could walk.
Moving on.
Yes.
So I guess we'll do our least favorite games. We were kind of on that vein.
Yeah.
I only picked one because I just had one that really stood out to me.
I picked 4.
But okay, so that evens things out. Why don't you start, Mike, then?
Okay, so I'm actually going to start with one that is outside of the podcast.
Okay, not in the remit. But
Not in it, but yeah, I know. But we did talk about it. I talked about it at length.
Right.
That's Redfall, a game that I'm certain we will be doing a new segment on it being officially shut down for the servers next year. That's my New Year's prediction. Redfall servers will be shut down next year.
Redfall is the Arcane-made multiplayer vampire game.
Correct. Yeah, that's supposed to be kind of like a hybridized open world / Left 4 Dead kind of drop in, drop out co-op shooter. Very promising, very interesting. Would have been great if it could have pulled it off. It couldn't pull it off. They didn't put enough money into the actual multiplayer side of it. Still, the last time I played it, the way to ping on a map, you could not ping on the map and ping in like the environment just by pointing at something. That was the same ping cursor. So you would lose your map ping, and there was no way to differentiate your map ping versus another player's map ping. There was no difference on the icon, so you didn't know who was pinging what. Little basics like that like have already been solved in gaming history that they just didn't do. I don't know. I still want to find out more about what actually happened with that game and why it was so bad, because there was no reason for it to be that bad.
Well, I think part of it was just like a studio famous for making first-person for single-player games, deciding to try and make a multiplayer game. You have to learn a lot of stuff, and then I'm sure that the Microsoft acquisition didn't help things.
Right, but mechanics like standard multiplayer mechanics that have, like the ping features, have been figured out already. Mm. They didn't have to figure out how to do that. I mean, they needed someone who knew how to do it, but they clearly had figured out how to ping. They just didn't even think about the idea that, like, oh, everyone needs to have their own icon. And I know that's a nitpicky thing, but it just goes to show that, like, yeah, they did not have the team that they needed for that project. Or that project wasn't supposed to be live service multiplayer originally.
Right.
And that's kind of more what I suspect, is that was pressure maybe from Microsoft to do that. I don't know. I'll look into it, and maybe that'll be another news rant. But
yeah, I'm sure Polygon will do a deep dive on it.
Yeah.
What about you, Marcus? Do you got any worst games you played?
I don't really like
Gex.
I love Gex. Childhood, like, it's like a childhood throwback. Like, still stands up, really. Like, it was hard, a lot harder than I remember. Mm-hmm. But I won't say it anyway. Bad game. Like, platformers just really aren't,
Especially like those early 3D cameras.
Yeah, well, sure, but that's just. Mm-hmm. It's like being mad at someone from the 20s for being racist. Like, you can't,
Yeah, well,
the 2020s, right? That's what you're saying.
The 2020s, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, no, bad, like, I don't know. Even like Orphan, like, it wasn't perfect, but I wouldn't say it was a bad game. Like, there's been like probably more expensive projects that like will freeze out on you randomly, and like, where you soft lock yourself in a room by like looking at something.
Oh, that's true.
Of that. I never experienced any of that in that game.
That happened in Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, sure.
Like, I locked myself out of the Forest Temple and had to start all over.
So like, it's not a bad game, like, in a design aspect. maybe the boss fights weren't perfect, but
little repetitive.
I mean, I couldn't do any better.
Yeah.
I'll just, like, if I coded a video game, be like, if game, yes. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know.
Oh man, that would have been such a better title for the podcast. If game, yes.
Well, not too late to change it.
We are still looking for an umbrella name.
New year
for all the little projects.
New podcast.
Yeah.
I don't really say I had any games that I like thought were. Well, there's some games I thought were bad. Mostly my negative experiences with games were disappointment. And I think the game I was the most disappointed with this year was Tunic. Like, it had a really cute art style, and I really liked, like, it got me into it really fast with its interesting way of doing, like, the in-game manual in a different language. So you were, like, trying to, like, play off of the little cartoons to kind of figure out what each page was supposed to be telling you and stuff like that. And it felt like, like you were playing a game that, like, your uncle got you in Japan, and you don't know what everything's saying, and you're just kind of trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Or if you've just ever flipped through one of the old, like, Legend of Zelda Nintendo or Game Boy manuals, like that same art style.
Yeah, that art style, but like in a language you don't understand. But then it ended up just kind of being like a top-down isometric Souls-like, and I don't know. Like, I have problems with the Souls-like genre to begin with, but then also, like, when it just kind of started feeling kind of lazy too with the level design as it went along. and like the gimmick of the manual just kind of weared off on me, and I was just kind of bored of it. Like it was just like, oh, okay, we're just gonna do the thing with the Estus flasks, and we have the same timing for how long it takes to drink that, and the same stamina regen on the roll, and it felt like they used all their creativity in the manual, and then just didn't have anything left for the game design. I never played that game,
but like looking at that art style, it's like they've never had an independent thought, and they were just going off what was like cool and popular in video games at the time.
Yeah. The manual was their independent thought, and then everything else got spit out of a meme generator.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Because that is just furry Link.
Yeah, and honestly, yes. I think if they had just made Legend of, like, a Zelda-like, I would have been more okay with it for some reason. But the fact that it was a kind of quote-unquote lazy Souls-like that pretended to be a lazy Zelda-like, that maybe even was like a bit of a rug pull for me too.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be as much of a Souls as it was in the combat, sense.
Yeah, well, in the exploration sense too, where you have the maps that loop back on each other and the shrines.
True, you had offerings that you made to increase your stats, which was a less direct way of leveling, and yeah. Which I kind of liked that part, actually, because that reminded me a lot of Link's Awakening.
No, I mean,
or I'm sorry, true. Not Link's Awakening, Link's Adventure, Zelda 2.
Yeah, I liked having you need to go to certain places to get like this bit of stat, because like the stat benefits were meaningful. Mm-hmm. Like it wasn't like you just have like another, you're not adding to the sea of attack points or whatever. But at the same time,
I'll say that's like one of my biggest like pet peeves is like a game that has a leveling system that doesn't do anything. Doesn't like expand on any of your abilities or even like. So I've been playing, a very new Final Fantasy 12, for the first time ever, and the leveling's different in that than a lot of the other. But yeah, I just feel like even though in that one, like the leveling itself doesn't naturally do anything, like I feel like your stats, if they even boost, they boost so little, that you can't just level. You have the which I kind of hated at first, the license board.
Yeah.
Which I'm not playing the Zodiac Age. I'm playing the OG, so there's no like preset classes in it. So I guess there is. Maybe that's why they did the Zodiac thing, was to kind of like, rather than like screw you over with every possibility, to kind of force you to make decisions.
Interesting.
But yeah, it's like, if I want to be a white mage, dragoon, monk, I can't.
Yeah, well, in the Zodiac Age, you can pick 2 classes, so you get like a...
Which is like, OG Final Fantasy stuff, yeah.
Yeah, but I agree with you. Like, you can get enough license points to fill out the entire board on every character.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I mean, that was also something that Final Fantasy X did to a certain extent, where it's like...
everyone
had everyone had like their own section of the sphere grid, but then after they were done, you can move them into other people's sections. So by the end of it, you could have every character doing black magic or whatever, which I thought was fun. System. Where it was like, like it encourages like early on to have like specific characters with specific roles, but like once you got into the late game, you could kind of like create your own classes to like deal with certain things. But yeah, I get what you mean though. With like I think there are some hack and slashes. Like I think Bayonetta kind of does this, where like leveling up just means numbers get bigger, and it doesn't actually feel like I'm doing like any better or like the combos are any faster or anything like that. It's just like, okay, now there's even bigger numbers shooting across the screen. That's a good point. Yes. Yeah, we'll move on from Final Fantasy 12. Mike, what else was on your list, Mike?
Of my least favorites?
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about?
That's what we were talking about when you brought up Final Fantasy 12.
We're talking about the
because Tunic's leveling
system.
Yeah. That's where we got to it. So, I mean, look, it's not that I think Sable is the worst game that has ever been made. Like, that's obviously not true. it's got elements to it that are fun. I like the game Journey, so I enjoy a game that is just about traveling and adventure. Outside of Sable's art style and its swoop bike.
And music.
Sometimes. Like early in the music as well. Like it's got great vibes in the front end of the game.
Ooh,
and then they just
Yeah.
never go anywhere.
Right.
It just stays there. And that's what I disliked about that game. That and that half the game is like hunting for the Korok seeds in the new Zelda games. Like that's all half the game is. Just like go find this stuff. It's just around. I don't know.
Chance of Sonar.
Yes, when I saw Chance of Sonar, like that, it stood out to me because I was like, "Ooh, a game with Sable's art style that might be better," and it was.
I think they both borrow heavily from French comics, specifically Mobius.
Yeah.
And I think that Chance of Sonar is actually made by a French dev studio, so I think that's and I don't know about Sable's provenance, but yeah, they both kind of have that like Mobius clean line like style. Yeah, and you're right. Like I think that Sable was very disappointing. Like it is a really beautiful tech demo for a game that they didn't make. And yeah, while there are good audio bits, it is like very front loaded and back loaded, but they use the same song. So it's like they wrote one good song for the game and then they just used it twice. Yeah, it was definitely disappointing. Like I think that if you're going to make a game that big, you need to like have it with stuff in it. Like I mean, it wasn't like lacking stuff, but and part of the game was supposed to be exploration, but it did kind of feel like it could have used some more content.
It's what we're always talking about when we bring up the Yakuza series, where Kamurocho, we have gone back and played Kamurocho at different years 6 or 7 times now, and it's still enjoyable for as small an area as that is, because the smaller you go, the more easy it is to fill all of that with details and content and make it look more alive. Sable, like there was too much space between things.
Yeah, I get why they would want to do it. Like they really wanted to have that kind of like sweeping like visual like journey where you're just like going over a dune. Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, like Journey doesn't have any quest elements. Like there is no collect 5 fish in Journey, but there is that in Sable. So it's not quite Breath of the Wild, but also isn't Journey, and it kind of just fails at being either.
Yes, that is also. It's a game by Shedworks, which I did go ahead and look. It is a game by Shedworks in North London. It's a 2-person studio, which I did not know.
Well, that's pretty impressive for the size of the game, frankly.
Yeah. It definitely puts it in a different light for me, but still in my least favorite games of the year.
Would you say that Breath of the Wild has had a negative effect on video games?
Yeah.
I don't know that you can say anything has a negative effect on video games. Like that sounds, especially when something's good, but like I think people definitely take the wrong message. Like if you want to look at it that way, like did Jurassic Park ruin movies by doing a ton of CGI work? Like I don't think so. But at the same time, like yeah, there was this like since Jurassic Park, we become very over reliant on CGI for special effects and storytelling from that aspect. Like so, like I don't necessarily think that Breath of the Wild is detrimental to the world of video games. Obviously, it's a great game, but I do think that people take away the wrong message, or like the wrong points of it. Yeah. Like the bigness is not what makes Breath of the Wild fun.
Yep, exactly. And here's a challenge to video game studios into the new year. Try not to have a moment in your game where the character climbs up or out of something and witnesses the large scale of the land before them. Like, that would just be really awesome if you didn't do that this time around. Let's have a year where we don't.
That was my favorite part of Deus Ex.
Yeah, that's all 5 feet of the level geometry loaded in front of you.
Yep. You stand out of the tram and you just look around the platform.
I feel like every single Final Fantasy game has like at least up to like 7, has that moment like early on in the game where they always starts with them crossing a broken bridge and gathering as a team and then like looking out on the horizon while like the text like scroll by.
That's true.
Well, I think that's true, but it's also like very mood setting. Like I mean 7 and 8 and 9 all do that, but they're like introducing you to kind of like complex settings. Like these are not like cut and dry fantasy settings.
It starts, at least in the first 3, they do it as well. Because in the very first one, the first thing you do is repair a bridge. And it's like, the full adventure is start that journey.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
It's just, it's one of those things where like that shot from Breath of the Wild's intro has been cribbed so many times, like almost to a T. Like it's been overdone. And yeah, I think it highlights the wrong point of what made Breath of the Wild good, to your point, Arvid. That's not what made it amazing. Yeah.
And there's so many games that have already gotten away with it. You know, like how big is Genshin Impact at this point? And it is, you know, free to play MMO Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm. And how big is Morrowind?
I mean, in just sheer size, big. Are we talking about? It actually is just too big.
I mean, if you're talking like meme poundage, then Morrowind's probably up there.
Well, I think it's definitely bigger than Skyrim. Morrowind's huge.
Oh, you mean the map? Yeah. I thought we were talking about popular
I
impact.
knew he meant like in geography.
I don't know if it's bigger than Skyrim.
Skyrim might have more, if you count in the vertical in Skyrim, it might have more than, I don't know though, because there's, around Red Mountain, like there's a shitload in Morrowind, in the Ashlands.
Well, the other thing with Morrowind is like Morrowind's actually got like a lot of empty nothing. Like there are so many times in Morrowind you just end up on like a giant like boulder that's surrounded by giant boulders, and you're just running to find any sign of civilization.
God, I hope I find a vampire clan hiding out here, and I can start that whole
just
thing.
Something.
Mm-hmm.
With Skyrim, like it all felt like landscape. So even though maybe it is smaller, but it always felt like you were part of a real place. And much as I love Morrowind, and it is like probably very much a better game than Skyrim, it was pretty early in the big map era of games, so it was a lot of just null space.
So it is about half, a little less than half the size of Skyrim. It's 16 kilometers for Morrowind, 37 kilometers for Skyrim. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They say it's because the lack of fast travel on the map made Morrowind feel larger. Although there was the, what were they? True. The Stilt Walkers or something.
The Silt Striders.
That's what it was, the Silt Striders. So they did have a fast travel system, but you're right. You couldn't just like really open your map and go.
For those,
yeah.
What do you say, Marcus?
They said they were really into Salvador Dali for those Stilt Walkers. For a lot of the creatures in that one.
Yeah. I mean, that's also one of those things, like talking about how Final Fantasy was interested in not doing non-traditional fantasy settings. Like Morrowind also was just like, we're just gonna do our own thing, man. Like we got Salvador Dali bugs and like dog vampires and giant mushrooms and shit, and we're just doing what we want to do.
Such a cool land.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably my favorite of the Elder Scrolls settings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, favorite? Well, I was gonna say it was my first Elder Scrolls. I definitely could not play it because I was way too young. Could not figure out like.
Because it's legitimately
that's more
hard.
D&D.
Yeah. No, I mean, I played it incessantly when it came out. Like I bought, like I asked for an Xbox just so I could play Morrowind, and then I played it. I think there was like it was like spring break the year it came out. I didn't like sleep or leave my room like the entire time.
I mean, I played it, but like I couldn't progress in that one. Like as a child, but then like Oblivion holds your hand.
Very much so. Well, and Oblivion's the first one where it is like real-time combat, really, where like Morrowind is real-time combat, but it's still kind of like that's the facade.
It's making checks and rolls and stuff
exactly.
while you're fighting.
Where like Oblivion, you swing a sword, it hits a thing. It does damage because it hit a thing, which was huge at the time.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say Oblivion holds its hand. Like, the leveling system is very hard to parse, even if you've played it a lot, and there are some points where
it holds your
like
hand
it is
compared to Morrowind.
It had like a compass that told you where to go.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, like, I guess I would say of the hand-holding games, Skyrim is the most, and then Oblivion just kind of normal, and then Morrowind is like the let your child be raised by wolves end of the spectrum. Okay, but let's move on from least favorite games, unless you have something else, Mike.
I mean, I guess it's an unhonorable mention. I will just I had a little bit of griping about A Hat in Time, but
okay.
You know, it's especially since we've been playing some more of those older platformers like Gex recently. It made me realize how clunky Hat in Time was in ways that it shouldn't have been. It was
like
doing
it's 20 years later, they should have learned more.
Exactly. The exact same complaint I'm having about like Redfall with multiplayer I have with Hat in Time as a platformer. Like, these issues had been solved already, and it felt like they were intentionally trying to have it be retro clunky, and I don't if that's the case, I don't think that was the right move. I don't know. And I can't figure out their target audience. Everything was a little too childish for someone like me to get into. So I don't know. I don't even know if it was that it was a truly bad game. It was one of my least favorites, though, because it wasn't a game made for me to enjoy, which is okay. Just not my game.
Yeah, I think that A Hat in Time very much is like a big collectathon platformer for adults who played big collectathon platformers and want to play something like they had. It's a nostalgia game, you know, and like Yooka-Laylee was as well. And I like both of those games because I really liked 3D platformers when I was a kid. But like I mean, they're like the blending of like the Banjo-Kazooie bits and the Psychonauts bits and all that jazz. Like, I liked it. But like, I also admit that
You're saying Psychonauts was a platformer?
Well, no, but it had like there's a section of there's a section of A Hat in Time that is a Psychonauts area basically.
Oh, really?
Like they changed like it's not literally the Psychonauts, but it is like a Psychonauts.
It's not the
game.
ball race, is it? Because I hated the ball race.
No, it's just like dialogue puzzles and some other things like that. Like it homages a lot of games from that late 90s.
Oh, so it's a member berry game.
It very much so.
Member
yes, it is
what?
a member berries. It's a South Park reference. Yep.
Arvid knows all about South Park. He's bullshitting you anytime he acts like he doesn't know South Park.
I played the RPG. The Obsidian one,
Stick of Truth. I've heard it's like
that was pretty.
Nothing but amazing things about it.
Yeah, Stick of Truth really
It's
good.
actually really good.
The sequel, The Fractured Butthole, is not as good.
They put all their skill points into that name.
That's really all it is. Like, once you have spoilers for Stick of Truth, once you have a final boss that part of it is just your own father's testicles swinging back and forth over you, like, that is
Don't ruin game. The whole point of this podcast is to get people to play the games. Don't ruin it for them.
I think that one's going to attract more people to it than
pretty old.
I mean, these little studios need all the help.
That's right.
I think Obsidian is Obsidian still independent, or are they owned by Microsoft now? I think they're owned by Microsoft now.
I wouldn't be surprised if like South Park just bought them.
South Park Studios just outright.
Yeah.
Maybe. They got another game coming out too, so.
Oh, I do have one thing, like, so I wonder if like you're saying that like Hat in Time was clunky. You know, compared to like your N64s, but do you think it's maybe like, you know, modern systems are a little more complex? Do you think it's maybe like a translation thing? Of like trying to recreate an old game is like, yeah, maybe it seems simpler, but it's actually harder than you think it is to make something less complex.
I mean, personally, I think it was not that clunky compared to like Gex. Even it was a lot less clunky of games we played this year. But also, I think that it like the engine wasn't doing it any favors. Like it's built in I think Unreal 3, and it's just there's some wonky physics and stuff like that. Like, it's also, as far as I'm aware, the studio's first game, so I think a lot of it's just like, Rare
growing
had
pains.
made, yeah, exactly. Rare, by the time Rare made like Banjo-Kazooie, they'd already make a bunch of 3D platformers and a lot of those other studios. So it's hard to like compare them really.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, Ukulele is a fair comparison because that's literally the same devs, a lot of them. So
yeah, that one was surprising that it didn't, like for me at least, it didn't have the spark of Banjo-Kazooie, which was a real bummer.
Yeah.
The only other game that I have on my least favorite list, even though like we don't have to get into it, is Stray Gods. And I think that's, again, one of those where it's not that it was a bad game, it just was disappointing because I wanted it to be something it wasn't. And it could have been, and that's okay that they didn't make the choices that made it enjoyable for me. But Stray Gods, the role-playing musical game that is just a musical game and not role-playing, it was enjoyable, but not...
I really appreciated what they tried to do with that, but yeah, I did feel like they came short of their goal.
I thought it was going to be a musical version of Paradise Killer, essentially, is what I went into it kind of feeling like it was going to be. And
yeah,
it was, as far as like a narrative went, but you didn't have enough agency over the character in the game itself to really feel like you were playing versus just like watching a visual novel. Yeah, play out.
Yeah, it was a Telltale game, but with musical numbers. And I like musicals. I liked having the music in games. I want games to do more musical things. Like I think that would be fun. But I think that maybe part of it was hype. They called it a role playing musical, and rather they could have just called it like a adventure. Yeah, exactly. And it was just more of like an adventure with musical numbers, and that was fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was more of a choose your own music game.
Yeah. I don't know. Also, like, if I was like, I think also like from what of the people who are big fans of it, they get a lot out of the romance aspect of the game.
Sure.
And maybe I'm weird, but I like to play a game without like following a romance, at least the first playthrough.
Yeah.
Just because like I want to see where things go.
You fucked everything in Mass Effect.
Well, that's because I played it 19 times. The first time I didn't, but the second, third, and so on.
Is that why you like to play The Sims 3 so much? You fuck your neighbor?
I haven't played The Sims 3 in a long time.
Oh yeah, because now on Steam you can hide.
Not yet. It's still in beta. Still in beta. Not yet.
I bet you know. That's why you haven't played The Sims 3 in so long.
Yeah,
waiting for his
I've got it on my calendar. All right. How about our favorite games we played this year that we did not play for the podcast? I'll let you start, Marcus, since you actually have done the fewest episodes of the podcast.
Yeah, I know. No, that means I've played the most. I played the least amount of games that anyone here, I'm sure.
But you've played the most amount of games not on the podcast, presumably.
No, I doubt that.
He's only played 4 games this year, and half of them were for the podcast.
Do you got anything then?
I'm trying to think, because I didn't even remember the favorite game outside of the podcast being on our homework list.
Oh, yeah. It's on there.
It was on there,
it's
but
fine.
Don't worry about it. We'll let Mike go next.
I mean, I've got a few. They're obvious ones. They're the big ones, right? For me, Elden Ring has been a huge game this year that I've been enjoying.
Did that come out this year?
Yeah.
It came out last year for her.
I think it came out last year.
Did it come out last year?
Not that it matters. I just
Did it actually come out?
You didn't say released. You said that he played.
No, that's true. That's true. If
you're talking about release this year, I can't.
This is actually fantastic because it felt like it was such a long year, but no, it's just that I'm picking a game from 2 years prior, which is fine. But it's not the only one I have. I've been playing it a lot this year, and it is still on my top tier of games. So I do not retract that statement. It's just a really solid game. I mean, when it first came out, I remember we were talking about how it's like, oh, wow, this is like one of those moments where like a great game came out that's going to be talked about later. And I don't know if I still feel that way about it completely. because I don't know if what it built on was revolutionary enough for it to be the definitive From Software game.
Well, what I would think is that it kind of took the Souls-like thing and made it big.
Mm-hmm.
Like it took a subgenre and made it mainstream in the way that like a lot of other like Parasite, that movie that
Right.
won the Oscar a few years ago. Like it took, psychological Korean horror and made it mainstream. And I feel like Elden Ring, while it maybe didn't like reinvent the wheel in its genre, it made that genre mainstream.
Yes.
Which is a feat in itself, really.
Yes, people who hadn't heard of a Dark Souls game, like, had now, through Elden Ring, heard of it.
Yeah, my mom and my stepfather play Elden Ring, and like,
nice.
They are not people who would have ever touched a Dark Souls.
That's so funny. Yeah, it's a lot more accessible, which there's good and bad to that, but let's see. I guess of games that came out this year.
It doesn't have to be games that came out this year. The way you were saying it, I thought you were implying that it came out this year. And
I think I thought it had because my brain is fried.
No, it's almost an elder game now.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, while you're thinking, I'll say what I've got. The game I played this year that, if not for the podcast, I enjoyed the most probably was the Final Fantasy VII remake. I went into it with very low expectations. One of my favorite games of all time. That's a basic pick, but I was kind of worried what like the new Ultra Anime Nomura version of that was going to be, how they were going to get around like redoing the plot, like all that stuff. And what it ended up being was like the storyline was actually really a really elegant solution, except for some bombast toward the end. I really liked how they did the characters. I really loved the setting, like every little map detail, like how they managed to make those. Like for me, a lot like my favorite things about the old Final Fantasies are like the matte backgrounds you run around on, and like how they managed to turn those into 3D environments was amazing. So I didn't play it for years, and I'm kind of glad because then I could play it with the DLC or whatever. But
4 years old almost now.
I think so, yeah. But it was really worth it, and I look forward to the sequel a lot.
Yeah,
because of that.
Yeah, I would agree with that one. That was enjoyable.
The sequel is kind of pretty far away, though, isn't it?
And it's supposed to be this year.
Oh, I thought it was.
I am nervous to see.
I thought they were doing like an intermittent game.
Yeah,
and then like
that did happen. That's out.
Or did that happen last year?
Yeah, that was the DLC basically for the first one, the Intermezzo, whatever they called it.
Intergrade or something.
So then the next one will be Rebirth, which is coming out sometime.
So what's your guess? Like, how far is that going to go?
Well, they've shown in the trailer they've shown as far as Nibelheim. So I'm assuming it'll go from the end of Midgard to Nibelheim.
They've also said that they are not afraid of changing the story and doing their own thing.
That's kind of what they are doing.
Yeah, no, they absolutely are. I mean, they basically said the embodiment of fans are basically the final boss of the first one. Like it's basically beat up the fan base so that convince them that you could.
I just really
you can do what you
worried
want.
What that's going to look like. Like if they're going to backpedal on there actually is a way to save Eris now, and she's not going to have this tragic death.
100%.
Which
I think that's fine if they do that right. I don't care. I don't feel like that's integral to the story as long as
the option to romance her.
If it's gonna hold true to Japanese stereotypes, it's going to be that it will become a harem game where they all are fawning over Cloud, and Cloud is just too befuddled and klutzy to notice any of their advances. And when he does, his nose shotguns blood. Yep.
That sounds about right.
Classic
I mean,
Final
to be fair,
Fantasy.
also, if they're keeping to the classic, you need to be able to romance Barrett as well, so...
fair.
Take him on the Golden Saucer date.
Fair. He's got more attachments for that gun hand.
Yeah. Another one I have is Cyberpunk 2077, which is another game that came out a long time ago, but I finally got around to playing. And I think this one is more. I'm also pretty glad I slept on because I finally played it. It's basically fixed. Yep. I was reading an article about how Cyberpunk has basically been in secret early access for the past 3 years, and like this is now actually the game.
No shit.
It's really fun. The setting is well done. There's some clunkiness around it, like I mentioned. I hate playing first-person games with a controller, and I hate playing driving things with a keyboard. So a lot of switching back and forth. Mm-hmm. The fact that there's no third-person mode in a game that feels like it's supposed to be GTA Skyrim feels really weird. Like it's all, but other than that, it's amazing. Like when you get like the stealth, jumpy, stab people thing, like it is the best Tech Ninja simulator
yes.
I've played in a while.
Yes. If you are feeling like the game's action is too arcadey, which is something I've complained about, give it a try again now that the 2.0 version is like full. You don't even have to have Phantom Liberty. They've updated everyone to the latest version of the game. So the UI is better, the skill system's better, the combat's a lot better, and they've really reinforced that melee combat is kind of the king of enjoying the action aspect of this game.
Yeah, and unlike a lot of your Fallouts and your Starfields and any of like your kind of third-person RPG shoot 'em ups, not shoot 'em ups, but shooter thingies, this game makes melee feel like a fun and integral part of it. Like, it's not like in Fallout where you have to like have a specific weird build in order to make melee fun or effective.
Or in Starfield where they lie to you and make you believe that it will be end game like a god tier build.
Yeah, where you're getting legendary melee weapons, and it's like no.
Mm-hmm. Or even all your fists. Like they have a whole like thing of karate moves and martial arts techniques, and I got them all done, and I was like, or I can grab this gun that I have like no skill in and just down something.
But you can do it in Elder Scrolls. You can become a fist god.
Yeah, but you still have to like get close enough to fist them.
Yeah, but like if you do like
it's hard to punch a dragon in the sky.
Oh yeah, sure, but like if you're doing like sneak melee in that game, you're like
that's true.
Orc,
it is insanely powerful.
Just death. And I've done plenty of just like boxer. I call them boxer run-throughs.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that's my point. Is like it has to be a specific build for you to make the melee meaningful in like that context. Like you can't just be like, oh, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. Like you have to pick a specific build to make the melee work that well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if there was an award category for most improved game, Phantom Liberty, like Cyberpunk 2077, would have taken that for sure. It's done a lot of good to put out the game that they actually meant to put out in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I'll give them credit for that one. That's fun. I'm still enjoying it. It's downloaded on my computer right now.
Yeah, I still haven't played Phantom Liberty, but I intend to.
Yeah, I started
a whole back to a computer with a graphics card.
Yep, I started a whole fresh game so I can enjoy that content once I get to it. Yeah.
I played some of Shadowrunner this year. It's kind of like Cyberpunk.
No, I really like
Shadowrunner. Shadowrunner does similar in that vibe too. Yeah, like that Tech Ninja.
Yeah, I can't run no Cyberpunk.
Yeah,
someday.
It's pretty heavy.
2040, bro. Sweet.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. It's been a while since I've picked it up. Because like all games that I truly enjoy, I will not beat it for a few years because I don't like the experience to end. But The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was a top game for me this year, for sure. Super fun. All the good stuff about Breath of the Wild, but more like little Robloxy kind of machine building shenanigans in this one, and I'm glad to see they aren't afraid of like changing up what a Zelda game is.
Yeah, I only dipped into it a little bit. I guess I just wasn't feeling it. I don't know why, but it just wasn't what I wanted to play when it came out. But I do intend to give it another shot.
You should. Very enjoyable. Highly recommend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually play Baldur's Gate 3, but I'm surprised you didn't put it on your list.
It's on my list. I just was gonna.
It is on your list.
I was gonna let it sit there. It's okay. Like, we don't have to talk about Baldur's Gate 3.
No, I guess everyone on Earth is talking about it right now.
I'm enjoying another playthrough with a buddy on the PS5 right now too. Like, we're just
nice.
Yeah, we're starting one, and it's been fun. We're still in Act 1, but we're getting through it, and what's fun about it is the replayability. I've now played it once through on my own, once through with our buddy Nick, and not all the way through, but like with him through all of Act 1, and I think we started a little bit of Act 2. And now again with this buddy of mine, Patrick, and every time things are different. Like, nothing's gone the same way. The dialogue has changed because little choices were made here or there, or a character was in this scene at this game, but they're not in the party for this scene in the next one. And yeah, it's very fun. Great game. Great replayability. A lot of options. If you've ever played a Divinity Original Sin or any of those from Larian, then you know what you're getting into.
It's one of those, like, it's also one of those things, like, I know I'm going to like it, so I'm, like, not in a rush
and when
to,
you,
like,
and when you play, I will make a character and play with you. And enjoy it again. That.
I do have that stealth feature on Steam coming
That's
up.
true. That's true. You'll hide anytime you're getting ready to play. So I can't just become a murder hobo in your world.
Yeah. But also, I keep weird hours, man.
No, that's true. I think that's just called a time zone not being the same as mine.
Oh, that's true. That's also a big part of it. All right, I've got a quiz. Are we ready for a quiz?
Oh, never asked me. I never got to mine.
Oh, I didn't ask you, but you said you didn't have any. Sorry.
Well, I said,
He was thinking.
Okay.
I was just going to say Disco Elysium.
Ooh, sure.
Oh, you just play that this year?
Solid. Yeah. No, I actually started the year with that.
Oh, yeah. So, that's a good one, too. Punch Disco Elysium into Paradise Killer.
You know what? Disco Elysium actually...
The rest of the year, just huge letdown.
Yeah, no, it actually sounds like a really good game for, like, a kind of melancholy, hungover New Year's Day. Like... the year's over, you're resting a little bit, you're kind of looking back, you're not really looking forward to anything coming up, and you're like, oh god, I hope this one's better. Disco Elysium is kind of perfect for that mood.
Yeah, it is The Hangover. Not like The Hangover the movie, because that's terrible, but like The Hangover, it's like a lowercase h hangover game.
Although I did like how the entire time in Disco Elysium you just have this baby strapped to the front of you.
Yeah,
like in The Hangover.
Oh, The Hangover. I've only seen The Hangover Part 3, so I actually didn't know that.
That's a choice. All right.
I was on a plane, man.
Well, I've only seen the first Hangover. I haven't even seen the second or third. So, Marcus, have you seen the second? And between the three of us, we can describe the plot of all three movies.
I don't remember anything about anything other than the first one.
You
know, very forgettable.
Yeah. Mike Tyson was in it. Yeah. So you got a quiz for us, is what you're saying.
I have a quiz, if you're ready for it.
All right.
So this quiz is a bit self-indulgent.
Did we do our look forward to? Is that like how you...
Oh, we're going to do that last.
I had a feeling we were going to do that after. Yeah.
I think that sounds right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, instead of like, what games have you been playing, since that's kind of been the discussion the whole time. Yeah.
So, this is, like I said, this is going to be a bit of self-indulgent. It's questions about our podcast.
Oh, boy.
Just to see what you guys remember. And you guys can work together on this.
It's going to be the lowest score I'm ever going to get. I thought Elden Ring came out this year. Like, clearly I don't have the best memory.
About the quizzes?
Say again,
Is
Marcus?
it a quiz about the quizzes?
No, it's a quiz about the podcast,
that would
not
be
the
pretty good,
podcast
though.
quizzes. That would be very, very meta. So what was the oldest game we played for the podcast? I have the three oldest ones listed here.
You son of
Can
a
you guess
bitch.
what the three? You can guess any one of them, but if you can guess all three, what were the three oldest games we played for the pod?
Wait, like title episodes or like?
Mhm,
Yeah, the
mhm.
actual games we played, like mainline games we played for the episode.
I know Gex has got to be up there.
Yep, Gex is on there. That's number 2.
Okay, so there's one older than Gex.
Yep.
And Mike?
I'm trying to think. Signalis would have been one of the first games, if not the first game we ever played for the...
This is the oldest, like, actual game.
like date of release.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
yeah.
Not podcast episode order. Oldest actual game. Oh, yeah,
so Gex
it might
came
be.
out in like 97 or 98, so it's older than that.
Yeah. It's going to be either maybe, I don't know when Age of Mythology came out, but also
that's gotta be on there.
Warhammer Dawn of War's on there too. So those are going to be our older games.
Neither of those are in the bottom 3.
Interesting.
Yeah, Age of Mythology, I think, was 2002 or 2003, and then Dawn of War was 2004.
Okay.
So Orphan technically released in 99, so maybe
Yeah,
that's
it's
3.
technically older than both of those games that feel very old. Interesting.
Orphan is number 3.
Okay, so I got this back half of it.
You got
Come
two
on,
of them.
get
I
that
just
number
need
one.
the oldest one on there. I guess technically,
Technically,
it would be Aldo's Adventure.
No. Yes.
Aldo's Adventure.
Is it a trick question?
Well, that was going to be the bonus question, but that's not actually technically. I mean, that's not what I have here. That was just
Okay.
going to be, technically speaking, that came out in '87, so that is the oldest thing we've played for the pod. But that wasn't something we played ahead of time. That was just kind of us goofing
yes,
off.
in the
So,
moment. It wasn't
So
oops
what
all
you got?
segments.
What's number 1? I give up.
Yeah, I don't remember.
it was a game you picked, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
It was Star Fox 64.
Oh shit, that would have been.
It came out
I
in
guess so.
'96.
Yeah. I see it in my brain. I'm trying to like think of a retro beat 'em up side scroller or something. But yeah. Star Fox 64, fucking solid game.
Now I have the 3 newest games. Now this is newest to now, not newest for when we recorded the episode.
Right.
So hypothetically, if a game came out in June and we did an episode on it in July, that would only be like a month ahead between it coming out and us doing the pod. But because it's now December, it wouldn't be on that list, if that makes sense. So these are the 3 newest games, period, on the arrow of time, most recent games to release.
Chance.
Yep, that's the newest. That's number 1.
Marvel Midnight Suns?
Nope, that came out almost a year ago.
Yeah. Huh. Gosh, I guess we've actually been pretty good about doing like some newer games as they've come out. Something we were
Especially
not
the
going
last
to do when we first
6
started.
months. Well, the plan was to do that only if it were indie games. Like,
Yeah.
our point was to kind of not try and call attention to like the new blockbusters, but if we did new stuff, it would be like indie titles, and these are all indie titles.
Oops, all indie.
All
All right, Mike, you gotta start fucking pulling some weight here, bud.
Yeah, I know. like I said, don't have the best memory. Well,
All right, so Chance is the newest. I feel like there's a game, Mike, that you guys have played that was not in a full release.
yeah.
So I think.
None of these are early access games.
Oh, okay.
No, but there would. Gosh, what have we done for the podcast? That's the best question. Is
Yakuza.
no, that's all I've got in my brain right now is Yakuza. When did
When
what?
did Scorn come out?
Scorn came out last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So not Scorn, not Graveyard Keeper, not Opus Magnum, not Tunic.
What was that? What was that like? That block puzzle game. Is that a newer game?
Oh, Void Strangers? Yeah, that's a newer game.
Yeah.
That came out this year. Is that on the list?
Yep, that's number 2.
Okay. Good pull.
All right, Mike.
Good pull. Yeah.
I will give a hint for number 3. There is a number 4. But this game came out only 7 days ahead of number 4. So I will give you half a point if you can guess if you get the 4th one instead of the 3rd one.
Okay. Interesting.
So basically, they came out around the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that sounds right. I have no memory of anything we've covered on this podcast outside of the Yakuza
We've
series.
spoken of both of them in this episode.
Okay, fair enough. Let me just look at my list of games here. Huh.
Shall I just tell you?
I mean, Stray Gods was this year. I don't think that's going to count,
Stray
though.
Gods was number 4.
Okay.
Coming out a week after was Book of Hours.
Book of Hours, we did. Yeah, that's right. It did come out, and then we played it, like, right then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Pretty
solid game.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
All right, so two more self-indulgent questions.
Yes.
What was the first game we played for this podcast?
Release?
What was the first released episode game about? Like, what was the first episode about?
I want to say Signalis, but I don't think that's right. I think that was our
2.
second. Yeah. That was our second episode. Oh, gosh. What did we play for the first?
We didn't like it a ton.
Right.
In fact, I'm surprised it didn't end up on our disappointing lists. But I guess it just didn't leave as much of an impression.
Mm-hmm.
I think Arvid's a little butthurt right now. No one's just
that I don't remember like every single thing.
This one I'm not butthurt about at all. I'm glad. I don't particularly care for this episode, so I'm glad.
Interesting. What would it have been? It wouldn't have been Strange Horticulture. Oh, I know what it was. It was Mind Scanners.
It was Mind Scanners.
Yes. A game that Strange Horticulture did way better, and hopefully this new year, Hypnospace Outlaw fully blasts out of the water.
Yeah, we need to do that episode.
Yes, soon.
And then, Marcus, what was the first episode that you were on? Do you remember? He's chewing. Nope, still chewing.
I don't know. Would it happen to be the same as your favorite game you played this year? Because it was.
Paradise Killer? No.
No, you said
it was Anachronox.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
No, I remember because I had like 18 pages of notes. I didn't use a single one.
Well, it's good to have those notes. God. All right, and last question. We did 5 licensed games this year.
Yes.
What were the games that were like based off of IP that were not originally video games? Like a Batman game is based off of Batman, the comic book.
Which we might as well just say then we did Batman Arkham Knight.
Yep, that's one.
Okay, Arkham Knight.
I forgot about that.
Orphan.
Technically, Orphan is a licensed series.
Not
Okay.
technically. 100%.
I guess
That's the bonus.
I guess that's
a hentai
I guess
game.
that's 6 then. There's 6 of them. Forgot about that one.
We did Marvel Midnight Suns, which I mentioned earlier.
Correct.
Yep. I know I just had another one in my head. It just disappeared away. Oh, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot.
Nice.
Correct.
Yes.
You spoke of one moments ago.
Probably.
We were doing our oldest games.
Yeah. Probably.
Star Fox?
No, that wouldn't have been original IP. Legend of Zelda is not original IP. No, it would be, I guess technically Warhammer Dawn of War
That's correct.
would be.
All right.
Yeah.
So we need one more.
We need one more. Yep. We haven't done any of the Spider-Mans or the Wolverine game hasn't come out yet. We do another Marvel game. I don't think so. Going through the catalog in my brain.
It was a 3D platformer. That helps me.
Gex?
Nope.
No, although that there is a lot of semi-loosely based on licensed content in it.
So Hat in Time, it's not. At least a 3D platformer.
Oh, I know which one. SpongeBob SquarePants, Battle for Bikini Bottom, Rehydrated.
Oh,
That's it. Yeah, forgot we did that
Which,
one for this pod.
happy accident, like right after that came out, a new SpongeBob platformer came out, like the week after.
Yeah.
It was like, huh,
We
didn't even know that was happening.
Existence.
Yeah. Pretty great. Hey, we got all those. Hell yeah.
All right. So the last segment we have are games we are looking
Arvid.
Oh, what?
I got some extra credit for you.
Ooh.
What?
Well, I only got 3. I'm going to poorly describe a game.
Okay.
And you have to guess what it is.
Okay.
All right. You don't get any warm-ups. Because I couldn't make that many. All right. So the first one is estranged brothers argue over their father's ideology, join the arms race.
Arms race.
Maybe there's a little bit of a pun in there, too.
Arms race?
This one's more of a franchise than it is just a single game.
Oh.
Estranged brothers argue over their father's ideology, join the arms race.
Estranged brothers. I don't know.
Argue over their father's ideology.
I don't.
Join the arms race.
Think about arms.
Yeah, I am, and I just keep thinking of that weird Nintendo game with the lanky arms that I have no clue what that game is.
Arms, weapons, guns.
Maybe the most ultimate weapon.
Ah.
A weapon to surpass.
Wait. Metal Gear Solid. Okay, I guess. Okay. Sorry, I thought we were just doing games we did for the pod. Okay, okay.
Oh, no, I realized that's not what he was doing, but
okay.
That's a good one.
Metal Gear.
Okay.
All right, this one is a single game. Femboy demigod, upset his father loves his little brother more, sets out to destroy the world.
Kingdom Hearts.
You know what? The more I think about this one, it could be a lot of Square Enix.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Final Fantasy IX.
Yes.
Okay.
That's good.
And then the last one is a cyborg becomes radicalized, fights the Illuminati, becomes a god.
DSX.
Yeah.
Swish.
Got him.
Got
2
him.
out of 3.
All right. No, that was pretty good. I like that.
When you said bad descriptions, I thought it was going to be very memeified descriptions of things, right? But no.
All right. So, what games are we looking forward to?
Marcus, what games are you looking forward to playing this year?
Well, I can't tell you when any of these games are going to come out. So
okay, that's fine. I mean, like release dates are nebulous these days. Yeah, but what are you looking forward to?
I'll say. I mean, I pick 3. Do I do all 3, or do I just pick one?
Let's just do one. And then
we'll round robin it.
Oh damn! You got to pick one.
Well, you can do the other ones later.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start with. You know what? Just so you guys can get a little.
You gonna post a little.
Yeah, I'll link the store page while I'm
smart.
Playthrough of the video. The first one is Without Judgment.
Without Judgment.
Yes, and there's not really a lot out on it. It's a studio that's released 0 games prior to this. Mm-hmm. They have 24 followers on Steam. But it's supposed to be a pseudo like spiritual successor to Deus Ex with kind of like immersive sim cyberpunk stuff, leaning very heavily into the PS1 graphics, which I like. It just looks cool.
It's definitely got style.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this. It's definitely got like I would call it like PS 1.5. Like it's like the it's got the PS1 style graphics, but like it's bigger than a PS1 game would ever be. But it looks very stylish, very cool.
Yeah.
Also cribbing some like Grand Theft Auto UI vibes from it too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it looks really fun. Oh wow,
does.
yeah, especially like when you see the weapon and like that you can choose from, like that little selector area and everything. That is very
it just
GTA.
kind of feel like Deus Ex Miami, but I like that a lot.
Oh, it does take place in Florida. That is the setting. Which I don't think I've seen a cyberpunk setting in Florida yet, so I'm kind of interested.
Yeah, it's hard to say, like, the studio just done nothing, so
Yeah.
who knows what will come out, but
Yeah.
Cool.
Definitely something to keep an eye on.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Put it on my wish list.
Hell yeah.
I have boring games in that I didn't pick any like indies or anything like that. I think the game I'm most looking forward to is the new Yakuza, to be boring. Infinite Wealth is supposed to come out this month. I like everything. Every time I hear anything new about it, or not this month, next month.
By the time you hear it,
as the release date. Yeah. Like I really like the fact that you're going to be able to have Ichiban and Kiryu in the game. There's like this whole Animal Crossing side game that they've talked about that sounds.
I'm trying.
I don't
to
even
keep
know what that's
all,
going to be like.
Little spoilers away.
But,
I know that they're going to be in like Honolulu and stuff. That's all I really know.
Yeah. And I also like all the times that the Yakuza characters have to interact with Americans in the game previously are all amazing. So I'm really looking forward to see what this is like.
Yeah, it's gonna be really fun.
Yeah. So bit of a basic pick, but that is also. I mean, we've talked about it before. But
do you think there's going to be like a castle rising from the ground-esque moment that involves a volcano?
Ooh, I don't know. Maybe.
Could be cool. Could be pretty cool.
I don't know. I don't want to. I'm sure there'll be some crazy thing, but I don't want to speculate.
I know. I'm hoping there's a surfing minigame too.
I mean, they could also pivot the hard the other way and just go really serious about it and just like do like a whole Pearl Harbor thing.
Oh,
and
God.
You're just like, ugh.
Yeah.
There's also a possibility with Yakuza.
I mean, I guess they could somehow find a way to do that and tie it back into Six's storyline there.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, Mike, what do you got?
Interesting. So I will also do what Marcus did and link a Stormfront. Wow, a Steam store page. And
Senua 2.
Yes, Hellblade 2, Senua's Saga. The sequel to Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice. I'm very much looking forward to this. It's interesting. I think all of the games I have listed, they're all sequels.
Me too.
Yeah, very, very interesting. It's going to be a tough year for original games, so I'm glad Marcus is doing the hard work of finding unique original games to look forward to. But what I liked about the first did either of you play Hellblade?
This is the first time hearing of it.
I have it. Like it's on my to playlist. I bought it, but I haven't actually got it.
It's a very short game. Like only takes a few hours to beat. But it is a almost filmic experience to play. Like it's one of the games that I've experienced at least that has done away with a HUD and found a way to make that work in an action game, which is really interesting. So you don't have any little flashing indicators around you of like attacks incoming. Your vision itself, even though it's a third-person game, is pretty narrow as well. What they do instead is they recommend you wear headphones, especially ones that can do spatial or 3D audio. And then the voices in your character's head are talking to you and will let you know if things are like happening in combat that you need to be aware of. It's a good game that covers mental illness, I think, in a very interesting way. They don't take it lightly, and I think they respect that discussion through the whole story of it. Yeah, it's a great game for combat and story itself, and the visuals. Fantastic. So I am really excited to see what they do with the sequel.
Yeah, I really should play it at some point.
It's super good.
It does look pretty. We'll give it that.
Mm-hmm.
It looks very pretty.
All right. Marcus, what do you got next?
All right, so next, this one is another one, and I'm not sure how to say it. Well, actually, I do. Phenopolis. I don't know if
I feel like I've heard of this game.
Well, hold on. They made
Oh, interesting.
Machinarium. If you ever played that one back in the day.
Yep.
I guess they're like, I hope they're still indie, and the game very much looks like it's still an indie game. And it might be one of those where there's a lot of, it makes me think of like a Double Fine adjacent kind of game art style.
Mm-hmm.
So it's supposed to be like a political, like you're supposed to like subvert the government and like help the people take back their freedom.
It's got like that kind of like Czech, like I don't know what you call it, Soviet or communist style. Like you see some like movie posters from like the Czech New Wave. It's got that kind of like art style. Mm-hmm. It looks really nice.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of promise behind it. You know, like, oh, your actions change the in-game world. So we'll see. I mean, I've had it wish-listed for quite a while now.
Yeah. Have you played more than their Machinarium? Like, have you played the Samorost series or anything?
I have not. I've only played Machinarium.
Yeah.
I played Samorost, the first one, and Machinarium, as you say.
Yeah. I've played the Samorost series, I played Creeks, I played Machinarium, and I've played Pilgrims from them. I'm actually like, for a studio that like is very specific on its games, I was surprised when I popped this open. I was like, oh, that's right. They've made all of these games that I've played through the years. Like even my dad, like he's not a gamer and he loves Machinarium and Samorost series.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Highly recommend playing the rest of the Samorost if you have not, or playing it in general. Creeks, you could probably pass on. It's got the aesthetic of Machinarium, like you think it's going to be kind of like you're a human boy this time, but like same idea.
I am a human boy.
It's a little more action than I want it to be. I want it to be a lot more of a puzzle adventure game, and this one has like a lot of sequences where in Machinarium you might need to like do something that causes a robot to fall over temporarily so you can go and grab an item, but in this one you have to figure out, like in Creeks, how to like get through a series of hallways while running from dogs and jumping over obstacles, and it just felt a little more platformer than I like in their games.
Well, this game definitely looks like it has platforming aspects to it.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. But
all the screens look like puzzle-y bits.
Yeah.
Yes, it looks so good. And the animation's fantastic for Phenopolis. I cannot wait to play this. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Okay, I go next.
Yeah.
Another sequel, which may not actually come out this year. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. How long has that been waiting to come out?
Well, they got a new studio, and they're working on it, so hopefully, they've said it hopefully will come out this year.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it awesome?
Yeah.
Yeah. You like vampires, too?
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully that comes out this year. I look forward to that. Although if it doesn't, that's fine. Take your time. Make it a good game. The first Bloodlines is one of my favorite games of all time. So
I have a problem with, I really loved Bloodlines. It was great. I'm very much excited for 2. I hope it comes out and like is good. But I've spent a lot of time waiting for World of Darkness adaptations to video games, only for them to be canceled in like the last minute, right?
Right.
So that's, I don't know. I'm just kind of hoping and waiting. We'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that it's weird how the World of Darkness IP has so frequently, like, kind of been let down.
Thing had blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all I do, man. It's just blah blah blah.
Yeah,
blah.
that's all he does. Just bah, bah, bah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I concur.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hope there is no more drama about the studio and everything just goes well and all that jazz.
Yeah, no
Fingers
kidding.
crossed.
No
You
kidding.
all right? You need to go potty?
I got a couple more on mine, but I
You
guess
talking to me right now?
No, sorry, talking to the boy.
Oh.
But also, yes, and I do too. Hades 2 was on there. We don't really need to talk
Yeah.
about it because it's,
I've
Hades. It's going to be
played
good.
Hades.
It's going to, huh?
Of course, I played Hades.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I just remember when I asked you about it like 2 years ago. You were like, eh.
Hades? What are you
I just probably hadn't played it yet.
Yeah, you
also,
hadn't.
like, you know me. If
what are
anyone
you
tells me
talking about,
talking about video games, Gary.
blah 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 blah.
Blah,
That's
blah, blah,
exactly
indeed.
it. But I think more than Hades 2, I'm actually excited for the sequel to Dragon's Dogma. Dragon's Dogma 2 is going to be
Can't go
sweet.
over border.
Very fun.
I
if
do
you
need to
have
play
not.
that at
Yeah.
some point. I recently bought the first one. I just haven't played it yet.
It's such a good game. Like, easily one of my favorite, like, fantasy games. So, yeah. I'm hoping Dragon's Dogma 2 actually comes out next year. Doesn't get pushed back
Yeah.
from its March release date, and that it's as good as the first one. Because if it even is just as good as the first one, it's going to be perfect.
$70.
Yeah, they're starting to do that
That's
more and more with
Capcom
games.
AAA game.
Yep.
Dang.
Yep. Yeah, man. You go onto like the storefront on a PlayStation or an Xbox these days, and that's just like the base price of games now.
Yeah. I mean, the first one's on sale right now, so we'll pick that up.
You should. If you haven't played it and you can get it at a good price, grab it. It's worth it.
Marcus,
Mm-hmm.
you got anything next?
I got like 2-3 more.
Okay.
Well,
Let's just do one more, maybe.
Yeah.
I'll just do one. Well, I'm gonna do two. One's real quick. It's gonna be
Okay.
Earthbound 64. Still waiting.
Sure. Sure. I get that.
That'll happen.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This year we got it. And then this other one I've also been waiting a very long time for. It's called Routine.
Okay.
It was
Yes,
first
you and
announced in
I have been talking
2012.
about routine for years. Yes.
Yeah. 2012 it got announced. I think
How's
the
it looking?
studio has changed. It's still in active development.
Bullshit.
Still in active development. Still got a Steam page. I don't know if they've updated it or nothing.
That's
recently.
ridiculous. There's no way.
But
Uh,
no, it's still like Lunar Software. I don't know
Sure.
what the hell that means.
Mm.
says to be announced.
Yes. You got the page.
I don't.
I got
I
the
don't think
page.
it's ever gonna happen. I'm just gonna. That's gonna be another prediction for the new year. I don't think it's coming out this year for sure.
I mean, I feel like they come out with at least one trailer a year.
They do. Like if you go to their website,
Yeah.
there is just like no context video gets dropped randomly 6 months like after the last one. It is weird. This is another small team though, right? It's just like a couple people. That
I
are
have
making
no
it.
idea.
I will say to you, I hope this game comes out. I don't think it's going to, but if you're looking for something to scratch the Earthbound itch, and we're probably going to play it this year, but check out the game Eastward.
Okay, so y'all can fuck off with that because you two convinced me to buy that like 8 months ago.
Yeah.
And I've got a lot of angry things to say about that.
Oh no.
Oh, cool.
Really? Okay, so
We'll have to get you on
play
that.
that here
Yeah.
really soon then,
Oh, yeah.
because I have it, and I have yet to get deep into it yet. So
Nothing to do with Earthbound.
All right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not even
let's
like
not-
in
hey,
vibe.
hey,
Okay,
hey, hey.
fine. We'll talk
We
about
got
it
we
another
gotta
time.
save
We'll
this
talk about it
content for
another
another.
It's fine. Interesting.
I was pissed off for like a month after I paid money for that.
Jeez. I mean, I haven't played it yet, so I don't even know. I'll do two. Like first of all, I mentioned it before. The sequel to the Final Fantasy VII remake. I really want to play that. I want to see where that goes. But the other thing is Life by You, which was supposed to be a Sims-like that was supposed to come out in early access this summer. They pushed back that a year, so it should come out this summer 2024 in early access. It looked interesting, but a little shaggy when they were showing the previews of it this last summer. I will be interested to see what it looks like this coming summer. But anything to kind of break the Sims stranglehold on the life sim genre, I appreciate. Like, I've been a big Sims fan since the beginning, but EA has not done anything to really innovate the series, and I feel like it's a genre a lot of developers aren't interested in getting into because they view the fan base as people who are just kind of always going to play The Sims and are casual gamers who are dumb and will give EA money, and that's not really true. Like, I really just want to play another good old Sims game, but not something that I have to like. Ghostmaster is 20 years old. Also, it's you
bought it?
Not really a Sims game. It's on my list. It's on the list. I do want to do it for the pod. But it's that's something I'd like to see. There's also another game called Paralives, which says it's also going to be a Sims competitor. But
Arf is on the Sim train.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I just want some competition. It's insane.
Yep.
I
get it.
But I don't know. That's a very small dev team working on Paralives. The Life by You is a studio that is publishing with Paradox, so they've got some weight behind them, presumably. And then this other studio is a much smaller group, and they've been working on it for a long time. So who knows when we'll see it. But yeah, that's all I got. Mike, you want to round us off?
Ew.
I've got, let's see. So I already said Hades 2, Dragon's Dogma 2, Hellblade 2, so let's keep that trend up. Stalker 2. The first Stalker, Shadows of Chernobyl.
That came out.
It has not come out yet.
Oh, it hasn't? Oh, okay.
No.
You sure?
Yeah, it's still like to be announced, the release date, but they're saying 2024. We'll see if it actually happens. I know there's been some things happening in that part of Europe that might have made some delays happen as well.
Oh, so I thought you were about to say made the game better.
Yeah, it gave them more references, so it feels even more real. But I'm really looking forward to Stalker 2. I hope it actually comes out this year. It's been a long time waiting. I don't know a lot of people that have like played the Stalker series, so I don't get to talk.
Insanely popular.
I know it is. Not in my circles, I guess.
I played Stalker 20 years ago.
Sure.
Whenever the first one came out.
Yeah.
I haven't played any of them since then.
Yeah. This is hopefully going to be a really, really good game.
What I've just been impressed by the franchise of the Stalkers, just like the three pieces of media all related to it are all entirely different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like there's the book, which is one way, then the movie, which is completely different, and then the game, which is its own thing.
Yep.
I feel like the game almost, it's like using the Stalker as like a like it's not even trying to do like a metaphor thing. It's just like, yeah. Although it is really interesting how the plot of the book and the plot of the movie all line up with like the actual Chernobyl exclusion zone, and it is really clever how that works out. Like I feel like there is like a missing piece that could combine all three of those things together to create something. I don't know, maybe BioShock 4 or something like that. Just like a way of doing all those things because it none of them seem to like have all the elements that the other ones do, even though they kind of have a very similar like setting, sort of. But yeah, I look forward to. I mean, like I have, like there's like this kind of Soviet grime thing that is like a whole genre right now, and that I just haven't really found all that interesting. But
no, I tried to play
know
that Atomic Heart game for a little while, and it just didn't. I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, and like the Metro games still haven't clicked for me. Like I like my Fallout because I like it goofy. Like I like being able to kill a giant green super mutant with a laser gun.
Oh yeah, it's not goofy for the Metro series. Like if you're playing it right, every encounter is like, oh fuck, I got through it. Oh, thank God.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind like some tension, but like give me some goofiness. But
I don't know. Exodus has some light moments to it. Yeah.
Does it have like a super mutants or talking dogs or anything like that?
No talking dogs, but there's some weird things in it. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check that out then. All right. I think I should probably get going before my mom's dog pees on something.
Yeah, I gotta go shave, shower, and all that before I get about my day.
I just gotta piss, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean that too.
Do it in the. We should all endeavor to excrete things in the bathroom.
I promise.
And with that note, thanks for listening to our podcast for a whole. Some of you have been listening all year, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
Some of you haven't, in which case go back in time and start listening to our podcast.
But also thank you for joining at any point that you did and sticking with it. We are very appreciative.
Yeah, and we've got some things we got planned for the new year. Probably a lot of more of the same, but some new stuff too.
Yeah.
A little bit of a rebrand and some expanded.
A little bit of new formatting.
Expanded idea.
A little change to the art that's coming up, and yeah.
But the core of it is not changing.
No.
Just a few little tweaks. We're just iterating, not completely changing.
You could almost call it a sequel.
No.
No, I guess not really.
Rebirth.
Like it's the same pod feed. Nothing's changing. Nothing burnt down. No ashes
interlude.
to come out. Nope.
Yes.
Okay. We're overdoing this. I was just trying to talk about mostly just the art. We're doing the art style, and also we're adding a new segment. That's
What's
it.
the new segment? No spoilers.
Well, Mike,
You'll
and I
see
have
it.
some thoughts.
You'll hear it. You won't see it. We're not doing video on YouTube. That wasn't a hint for that. We're not doing that.
No, not yet. No plans to do
You
that.
need the brand deals before that.
Yes, exactly. We need a big following before people see our faces.
Yeah.
Yes.
Then we can.
We really need the Boombas. What is those? The Boombas socks?
Bombas.
Bombas.
Some Bombas.
Yeah, that or Squarespace.
Squarespace.
Yeah.
Sleep number.
Yep. I mean, I'm still holding out for Extreme Restraints. If that site's still around, that's the big.
I'm just
one.
wondering when the raid money's gonna start kicking in.
I think that's gone now too.
Shadow Legends.
Yeah.
Dang.
All right. So thanks for listening. If you like the podcast, leave a comment, rate it, review it.
Yep.
Send us an email at thesavestatepodcast@gmail.com. Contact us on social at thesavestatepod.
Sure.
And yeah, have a good new year.
Have a happy new year. Kiss your nearest Scott Caratopoulos to ring in the new year. I'm also done. Goodbye. Or
I've been Marcus.
Are we hitting? I've been Mike. That was Arvid. He's gone now.